It's not something that I or anyone else is telling you to do. You are being the best version of you in that moment. You will be able to flow with difficult situations in a way that feels natural and safe and connecting to her in the midst of one of the most challenging seasons in your marriage. All kinds of things are possible. In fact, we grew closer and stronger through that challenge than we were before it all started. I just got off the phone with a fellow coach who was asking me what the secret sauce was to the results I've been getting with my clients, where they have been going through a very difficult season of their relationship, and they've been able to reconnect with their wives and revive their marriages. And I had a quick description of this process and thought, let me do something a little different here. We're actually on holiday in Florida. And so I just grabbed my iPad and I'm going to tell you a little bit of that secret sauce. So one of the problems that I see over and over when men are trying to save their marriages and working with coaches and therapists and others is it becomes quite prescriptive. It's all focused on what you should do and say in these certain situations. You're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. And that's all good advice. The challenge is, how do you put that advice into practice quickly and make it natural and it not be something that you're faking or you're trying to sound like somebody else? Because if that is the case and you don't sound like yourself, which is often true when you're trying something new and you're trying a bunch of new things, then it actually pushes our partners further away. And so all this work you're doing that's supposed to be drawing her closer actually results in her pushing further away, because she's like, who are you? And she doesn't trust the changes and they don't feel natural. And so the secret sauce that I use with my clients is that instead of focusing on all the strategies and tricks and things they've got to do, we focus on shifting their state. So think about this. Think about a time when you have just been in the best state of your life. In other words, mentally, what your thoughts are focused on, your energy levels in your body, physically, your emotions are uplifting and energizing. And you just find yourself, I guess, Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi describes it as flow state, where you just find yourself in this natural rhythm where things are flowing effortlessly. And you seem to know what you want, how to communicate it. And you're also able to adjust and adapt to the situation. If other people are around and they throw curveballs at you, it all seems to happen in stride. You can catch it. You're like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but I can flow with that. I can work with that. And you keep moving and evolving. And it just seemed like things happened so much more effortlessly, and others responded to that. Now, if you could have that state in the midst of one of the most challenging seasons in your marriage, all kinds of things are possible. Of course, as you might think about straight away, as I've been there myself and my clients, and you might be there right now, is it's extremely hard to be in that state when things are so challenging. And so that becomes the secret sauce. The secret sauce becomes, can I help my clients to be able to have access to that state even when things are challenging? And can they have certain tools and processes to get there quickly? And the sooner that I can help them to get there, the faster they start to experience results. Why? Well, because when you're in that state, you naturally tend to say and do the things that are most aligned, most connecting, and that reduce resistance, increase emotional safety and connection. And this is such a subtle idea. It's not rocket science, but it is subtle. It does take some practice and some understanding of what that state is and how you can find it. That journey took me over 10 years. And I'm still working at it. I'm still practicing it. There's still every single day, there are moments when I find myself out of that state. Not just moments. I tell a lie. There are times when I find myself completely out of state. The difference is I now have daily practices to first become aware when I shift out of state, and then to be able to quickly get back in it. And what that means is that when we go through some of the most challenging times, I have the best possible opportunity to work with that time and can continue to keep the relationships in my life strong. A really simple example of this, well, I shouldn't say simple, actually a very difficult example, was when my wife went through some very challenging health issues and was on and off bedridden for over a year and a half. If anyone has experienced this, you can imagine the kind of pressure this puts on the relationship. And for the first few months, we both were terrified about the ramifications that it would have across all of our lives, but also our relationship. And one of the things that I think I can say, and I think my wife would also agree with me on this, that I was rather proud of myself and surprised, was that I kept showing up to those challenging circumstances, able to find access to that state. And it meant that when things got difficult, when there were numerous new challenges that neither of us had never experienced before, there was an ability for us to find connection. Even when my wife's pain was so extreme, because she was in a lot of pain for a very long time, that she didn't have access to the kind of emotional regulation she normally did. She's a therapist. She's one of the most emotionally intelligent people I know. But when you're in that kind of pain, this environment, the pain can make it very hard to regulate like normal. And I found that with my practices, I was able to find connection and still have our relationship be strong in the midst of it. In fact, we grew closer and stronger through that challenge than we were before it all started. And so I just want to leave you with this. If you have been trying a whole bunch of things to save your marriage, if you've been watching videos and talking to people and getting good advice, I need to state that clearly. All of the advice is very good advice. It's just, it isn't leading to a reconnection, or it isn't leading to a scenario where your wife is now sharing more and feels safer and wants to work on the marriage together. And then it's actually having the opposite effect, where even though you're doing and saying all these right things, the result is that she's pushing away even further and has even more resistance because these things don't feel natural. Well, I want you to consider that instead of going for these strategies, instead of thinking about what to do, you instead focus on finding the right state. When you can find the right state of being, whether that's with your thoughts and your focus, your emotions, your physical state, when you can find that state, naturally you will do those strategies, you will say those things, and you will be able to flow with difficult situations in a way that feels natural and safe and connecting to her. And in some respects, all that work you're doing starts to land, because rather than it be something that you have to do, it's who you are. And it's who you are in that moment as you. It's not something that I or anyone else is telling you to do. You are being the best version of you in that moment. So I hope that's helpful. Thanks for listening, even though this was a little different. If you'd like my help in working through and finding that state, you'll find a link to my calendar below. Book a quick call with me and let's talk about your scenario and how we can help you to see some of these results quicker. All right, take care and ciao for now.